the one who really, takes responsibility of that. And then, creating a wonderful positive environment in the society is something that a leader's responsibility. Implementing the new latest teaching methods is something that as a leader that we should be working on in being responsible leaders, and having that growth mindset. Having the school culture should be like a growth mindset. We are ready to change, we are ready to grow forward. So that is what is the culture of the school should be, and the leadership is the one who is really responsible. And of course, that will happen involving all the stakeholders, and collecting the data and using the data in the right way to make right decisions. So the data-driven, documented decisions are very important, I feel, and that's where we really involve complete stakeholders. So I mean, there's so much that I can go on and on. That's what I would feel like as a leadership. What is our role and how important we are all. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am, for beginning us. Kalyani, ma'am, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. So I'm Kalyani. I am the school training nodal coordinator and innovation ambassador of my school. I'm currently in Mumbai. I teach in the Somya School. I'm a PGT teacher. I teach economics and entrepreneurship as a subject. Now, coming to the very question of what school leadership means to me. So let's start with this quote, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, by Rabindranath Tagore. So yes, as school leadership, for me would be helping the students develop holistically in a safe and supportive environment. And this cannot be done alone. This has to be a collaborative initiative of all these stakeholders to achieve the goal of, seeing a better version of individual and effective leaders, for creating effective leaders. So yeah, that's from me.
Thanks, Kalyani, ma'am. Over to you, Pooja, ma'am.
Namaste. My name is Pooja Thakur and I'm based out of Delhi. I head the junior campus at the Sri Ram School here. So very short, I'll just go back to a little short story when I started my journey. And I worked through the routes. I joined school as a teacher, took on as a coordinator, vice principal, and then I became the principal. And then everybody, you know how it is around. And I'm just being very vulnerable to say, oh, principal, wow, principal, as somebody when we meet outside. I was very overwhelmed by this comment. And I went back to my mentor to said, I'm not liking it. I'm thinking whether I should have been the principal or not, because the fact that the connotation of principal and power came together. So I said, I'm really not, not in the mindset of whether it's the right step for me. And she changed it around with one sentence, my mentor. My mentor said, yeah, you have a lot of power. You have the power to influence. You have the power to influence. And that is what, for me, in my current role, after having been in this role for about now 11 years, almost 11 years, I think it's the power to influence mindsets, it's the power to influence policies, it's the power to influence practices. And that's how I look at my role. If I can influence, if I can empower, and I can support all aspects in a school for my faculty to realize the best and my students to be happy, adaptable, and to walk out of school ready to contribute. I think I'm a good cog in the wheel thereabout. That's it. Thanks, Anu.
Thanks for sharing, ma'am. Over to you, Syed sir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Syed Murtaza Hussaini Zaidi, and I am the head of the Department of Special Educational Needs and Counseling Department at all our 3 branches. And I am also in advisory position for our 2 sister concerns. So that's about it. And I'm also International Baccalaureate Middle Years Programs Personal Project Coordinator. So yeah, we have a very economic school that we have come up with the idea to put and provide very cheap IB education in the old city part of Hyderabad. So our program is very affordable. We provide it for around 50,000 per year. which is very, dramatically very low when compared to other IB schools, but it's for the benefit of the people and especially economically backward classes. So that's about it. For me, leadership actually is a very misunderstood position. So when you think about a leader, for example, a goat herder, he takes 100, 200 goats, and all the goats they follow him, right? So that is he's a very good herder. I appreciate that, but he's not a leader, right? So leader is not a herder, but we see that when we see now there's an environment of election also, right? So we have leaders all around us. So I don't my idea of leadership is different. Like when you lead, you have a team and you lead the team with compassion. You take ownership and you make sure that everyone is safe in your team and everyone is growing along with you, right? So these are the few things that come to my mind when I say leadership. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, Nutan ma'am.
Thank you. A very good morning to all of you. I'm Nutan Iyer, principal of Diamond Jubilee High School. We are based in Mumbai and we follow the national ICC curriculum. And we are part of the big chain of Aga Khan Education Service schools we run globally. And we're just a little drop in that ocean. Listening to my dear panelist, my journey starts somewhere like that. Everybody started as a teacher, and I too started as a teacher. And when got this opportunity to lead a school, and it's been now 13 years, and the first question I ask is, how will I do it? I'm not being a principal or anything. And people who are close to me, they said everything you start first. You became a teacher first. How did you do it? And the teacher itself, is a leader in itself. The teacher can make and change a lot of things. And for me, leadership, to sum up with what my colleagues have said, is a responsibility, a big responsibility. And as Shubhlakshmi ma'am said, it is just a position. You're a principal. It's a chair. Today, if the respect and all that you get is because you are on that chair. And if you are not on that chair, nobody's going to take that, nobody's going to give that respect, that thing. But how do you respect that chair? The symbolic position that you have is important. And leadership for me works as a team work. It's not separate. It is, you lead because you have a team. And the team which is behind you are looking up to you for guidance, mentoring, everything, from the silliest things that happen every day. And sometimes, as Syed said, that it's true that people think that it's a very negative terminology. A principle here, dominance here. Leadership is looked at somebody who's dominating, but it's a responsibility, and you need to take it through a very sensible sense, how you take this whole role. Take the ownership, be accountable for good, bad, everything that is happening around. And the team is looking up to you. So every day you need to be conscious of your behavior around, with students, with parents, and with everything. And at times people look at you as God, like, okay, you're like everything, and you're still vulnerable and you're still human at that. So don't forget yourself that you're still human. You need to rest, you need to take this thing, but at the same time you wake up every day, that what is the change. And Pooja, you rightly said that we have the power to influence. We have the power to influence, good, bad, anyway, and you need to consciously make that decision of what I'm going to influence. And change is inevitable. and how do we look at change? If as a leader I say कि मुझे ये करना ही नहीं है, ये NEP is all this farce and all, I don't want to take it, the whole system is going to collapse on that. So how do I look at change, and how do I convince my team is our role as leadership? Otherwise, it's just a position which is there with you as long as you are on that chair. After that, it doesn't. We don't know. But then it's important to mentor somebody also to be in that, people say, auto mode pe school chal raha hai. Okay, chal. And that is also important because you can't be everywhere, any place. So you need to have somebody to also think in your lines that when I'm not there, how is the system working? And that is important as a leader, that in your absence, have you created that system to work without you also? And then they remember you as, okay, ma'am, hoti to aisa hota, and this. That is important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Aditya, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Onset, Firki, Anu, Tasneem, everyone involved. Amazing work in bringing on the table some important dialogues on school leadership, because everything, Anu, that you mentioned in your initial slides about NEP and the curriculum framework, that will seep in, that will be implemented only if schools buy into that idea. Otherwise, they are again paper documents, make no bones about it. Leadership, I will base my 2 pointers on the kind of people that we have, and it's amazing. We have PGD science teachers, and we have prospective school leaders, and we have coordinators. And that is a very, very heartening thing to see, because make no mistake, education is human resource driven. We are not a production unit where you have an engineer and an overseer, and then you have people who work automatedly. Over here in a school, in 6 hours, every single person from the gate to the teachers, to the academic heads, to the principal have to make 1,000 decisions. And all those decisions cannot come from the table of the principal. So every single person dealing with children, parents, and every human entity needs to understand that they are leaders, right? Having said that, it is the principal who drives that particular journey. The vision is what I will say belongs to the principal or head of the school. I have visited schools. I have visited very good schools. I have visited good schools. I have visited not so good schools. And believe me, it is not about resources. It is not about infrastructure. It is about the vision of a leader which defines the entity and the ecosystem of that school. It is plain simple. If I have to give an analogy, it is about a captain of a ship. It's old adage, but the fact still remains, how he is veering that ship, how he is navigating that ship, and make no bones about it that it is not on an autopilot mode, it is not automated. He has to navigate that ship with his own vision, with his own intuition, with his own knowledge, with his own data, with his own anticipation. And that is precisely what driving in a school leadership is. It is not a routine job. You have to be constantly a learner, because if you as a principal, as a head of the school, stagnate, the school will stagnate, right? You have to have the vision of controlling the change. You may get excited at seeing 1,000 things, but you should understand how much can your system take in, right? How easily you can bring in changes, and then how you set up a system. So today, everything, we're talking about transformation. The transformation happens if a leader sitting at the top, whose vision is to drive the school, believe.
Sir, we can't hear you. Sir? Hello? So are
Future
you?
that we have not seen is what a leader is doing right now. The effects are not tangible, the effects are intangible, will be visible years later, but will be visible at some point of time. That is the effect of a leader.
Thank you so much for sharing
Sure.
that. Such a powerful note. We'll go back to Kalyani ma'am, and ma'am would love to hear a little bit more about what is your vision for an excellent school that is on the path to transform students' learning and achievement.
Well, Anu, thanks for that question. That's a wonderful, wonderful question. And to some extent, I really do agree with Aditya sir, the way he started off with the vision and principle being the, having that steer in hand. But I also feel that school is a part of education system, and our education is part, and our education system is a part of the nation as a whole. So whatever is the goal of the nation, the vision of the school should be more aligned to that, so that the future citizens have those characteristics or have those features that we look up to as a prosperous or developed nation. That is how I see India years ahead. So for me, I think the vision of an excellent school should have what do we see? How do we see the future? Like we see them as problem solvers. We see the students as problem solvers. We see them as innovators. We see them as future responsible citizens. So what are those? How do we ingrain all those things in them today? What are the steps that we need to take today as a school so that the future citizens are problem solvers, innovators, and entrepreneurs whom we look up to? So I feel that the school, first of all, should foster a kind of safe, supportive, and an inclusive environment wherein it's everyone feels safe, mentally safe, physically safe, wherein he or she can give his or her opinion without any fear. So that I see as the first thing. Secondly, it should always go in for holistic development. Like in India, if we look at the education system, it's more academics, and less of co-curricular activities. So we need to look. The time has come when we have to look at it as a holistic and overall development of the student per se, and that I think is very important. Now, how do we get there? Blended blended education. If the technology, we can't shy away from technology. AI has, AI is gaining that, AI is that buzzword now. So, but obvious, we need to take technology into learning, the learning space. Then, and we also have to make the students future ready. Okay, so they need to have those critical thinking, creative thinking, and all those characteristics, so as to be that future ready citizen, responsible citizen. So that I think should be the vision of the school.
Absolutely, ma'am. Completely agree with you on that. Subbu ma'am would love to hear from you as well. If you can add to what is already being shared by Kalyani ma'am, if there are more perspectives that you can add to what a vision of an excellent school can look like.
Absolutely. So as Ms. Kalyani said, and Mr. Aditya also was pointing out the importance of the vision. And yeah, the vision, as Kalyani was talking about, it should align with the growth of the nation, or what is required for the students to go beyond. So I would say, of course, these words like, holistic development, critical thinking, creative learning, emotional balance, all these are beautiful words that are there in most of the school's vision. But then we need to think about, is the vision, and then we do see, and I do see in many schools when I travel, they're beautifully laminated in golden letters and silver letters and planted over there, and then, mounted in front of the office. So all that is happening, but then the vision is not a lamination, it's a living piece. It should be a living piece, and the vision should be, vision is nothing but it's a promise that the organization is making to the entire society. This is what we do with our children. This is what is required. So these are the things we are going to do with the children. We are going to take our children there. So that is what the promise is made. And as we already spoke about leadership, leaders are not the ones who only promised. It's the collaboratively entire school, right from the gate watchman to the senior management. Everybody is making that promise. So we have to look into it. Or the importance of the vision is it should come to the classroom. Like when we say creative thinking, we develop creative thinking or we develop holistic learning. So are there opportunities for students in the classroom to develop holistically? Are there engagements happening in the classroom to, be critical thinkers or creative learners or emotional balance engagements? Are there? So the vision is not a lamination in the front office. It should be in the lesson plans and then implemented in the classroom. So then only the vision will be a successful one. And that is what makes a meaning. So then we can call it, we live in the vision and we don't laminate the vision. So that is what something very, very important for any school. And that unpacking the vision should happen very frequently. See, sometimes in some organization, the vision is created maybe 2 years back or something, or reviewed 2 years back. We may not review every year, but then there are new team members joining. Are they really understanding the vision? So unpacking the vision on a frequent basis is very much required. And I strongly believe that vision should be in the classroom, happening, not even in the lesson plans. It should be an engagement in the classroom. Each part of the vision should be engaged. So that's what, when somebody pointed low budget school, our school is also low budget school, and we are not a luxurious school, but our vision is like something luxurious vision, strong vision. That's what we stick to. So that's what I strongly believe. Living in vision is more important than laminating it.
Yeah.
So much.
Thank you, ma'am, for adding those wonderful insights. The importance of a vision, not just on paper, not just on the wall, but in actions in the classroom. Are we seeing children participate in their learning process, taking ownership for what they're learning? Are we seeing teachers teaching the best way they possibly can? Truly, ma'am, well said. With that, we move into the second question, which is very much tied to what ma'am just shared. And for that, we would request Pooja ma'am to sort of shed light on the importance of school leaders becoming more deeply involved in children's learning. How can you, as a school leader, become more involved in the teaching learning process? In many ways, how do you, in today's terminology, become a pedagogical leader? How does that really happen?
Thank you, Anu. Thank you for asking that. And I think as when I was listening to everybody's introduction, everybody's been to their subject stream and somebody's ahead, somebody's, a coordinator and everything. So I think everybody here is almost on the same page here to say, what is a school without a pedagogy? I think it's just four walls without the teaching learning process. That's what we are here for. And I think the main role for a leader, it starts from establishing the climate and the culture of learning, is to understanding the what is working, what is not working, into course correct, and taking it for granted here that everybody comes with the right intent to establish the culture, the climate, give the appropriate resources. Whenever we start schools, we do all of that, what teachers need, what they're requested for in the classroom. Critical is when all this is established, the analysis process of what is working, what interactions with students, teaching, and I think getting your own hands dirty. And I'm suggesting the most ideal way, which all of us at our school definitely do. And I also understand if it's not possible for every leader, if the principal can teach herself, or himself, if the principal can be a part of the classroom, in addition to living the life of an administrator, live the life of a teacher. Because as most of us, having been through that journey, when we become administrators, we kind of become distant from that life. If we live the life of a teacher, take classes with students, get engagement time with them, have interactions with teachers. And that's also, more than keep How's it happening? How are the results? We do have these formal meetings with teachers, but the life of a teacher is very different. You get to understand what is being done in the classroom in addition to the core curriculum, which everybody has to do. What problems are there? What can be the best possible solution? I run a primary school. Another thing that we do is we do feedback surveys from students and staff. We take their feedback, even with grade 4, 5, 3, 4, and 5. Like teachers do it for subjects, they do exit slips, we do it for teachers and students. How was the outstation trip be? What was your feedback on that? What were your learning processes? We have another one coming up with the students in December. You need to be on the ground to listen to students, get a pulse of what's happening. That day I walked into my class and I teach English. I was walking into my class and they came back from a PE class. And I said, oh, how was it? Very nice. And one of them said, oh, I really didn't enjoy it. I said, well, what happened? I think our section class, per specific section class is much better when the entire grade does it. I don't think I would have got that feedback had I not been in that class. And it's something for me to reflect. Do I need to plan it better or do I need to do it away with it? The important aspect, another is to step back, analyze, and then saying, what are the students and the faculty saying? So I think a principal needs to operate at multiple levels and you instruct. Sometimes what happens as a principal, what you say becomes the law. Sometimes it's said, the principal makes up the climate of the school. If she sneezes, the whole school has a cold. It's sometimes joked about it like that. And in spite of, seeing so much of having democratic discussions, you want inputs from everybody, but sometimes what you say becomes it's the mandate. Sometimes I say teachers tell me, oh, aapne bola tha na isliye. But it's better to hear from the ground what is it happening. And if you're in the field on the ground, we all look at it. You get real-time data. Sometimes I also feel you need to be very clear about what your overall objective is for the teaching learning process. Each school is looking at academic success and it's there, it's given. Now, I won't say any school is doing any less job. All teachers put in there. And I think sometimes if I were pushed into a corner and asked to choose between academic success and habits of mind or growth mindset, if I had to choose just one, what would I do? What would I tell my teachers is the main objective of the school? I would choose a growth mindset and habits of mind. And then the vision, like they said, the teachers and everything needs to be aligned. I would design everything according to the projects, the learning festivals with the teachers, if that is clear. So that is where the teaching learning process comes. So then we choose our initiatives, our words wisely. We look beyond scores. So I think teaching, enough feedback, listening to teachers, students, and finally be ready to change and course correct is something that's the crux of pedagogical leadership, if you were to ask me, in my experience and view. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Pooja ma'am. I think that's really wonderful to hear. I think something that I'm taking back from what you shared is just be on the ground, hear what is happening, see what is happening, analyze it, and act as per that. So really powerful message over there. Nutan ma'am
Anu,
has her hand raised.
Anu,
She
can
would
I
like
just,
to add.
sorry. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. I think.
Yeah, very, very nicely put up by Pooja ma'am. I couldn't resist to come around and say,
Yeah.
somewhere someone told me, a principal's role is more of an MBA. So what is an MBA? It's management by walking around, And very quickly, I would like to put it across, because I heard that word power coming. Tasneem put it up, pedagogical leadership. I would name it as instructional leadership. That's a more difficult thing to do. Administrative leadership is very easy. Sitting in the office, making systems. And sometimes as leaders, we get sucked into that role, Please ask yourself honestly, what percentage of your day is administrative leadership? What percentage day is your instructional leadership? The percentage will speak about how your school is doing.
Absolutely. Thanks, sir. Nutan ma'am, go for it.
Thank you. Very well said, Aditya sir. Something changed when we did the Firki course, and we were somewhere told that okay, you take your rounds. And sometimes, I used to just take in the morning rounds and come back. And one of the Firki, when we did the leadership courses, 1/3 of your day you spend on taking rounds and this. And after that, consciously I started, measuring that, okay, what is that 1/3? And it becomes more than 1/3 that you are on the round. And it helps if leaders, of course, it's the ideal situation is if you can take a class with them and co-teach. But when you are when you are teaching, you are only stuck to one set of students. If because I'm being a mathematics teacher, maybe I'm only teaching mathematics to a particular class, and then I don't go in the primary or other areas. So what I consciously started was, like substitution. Teachers are absent. First thing okay, this class I'm going today. So you go to that class, spend that time. So in a circle, you may land up, I have around 40 divisions in the school. So everywhere you spend that little time with the children and chat on things which are around happening. Of course, it varies from primary to second. And Pooja rightly said, taking feedback from children is the best thing. Parents, of course, they have their feedbacks on PTAs and all, but direct feedback from children, what is happening, how is happening. You have a student council, you chat with them, make conscious effort of meeting them and understanding what they are talking about, what they want, how do they view things. It helps on that cultural gown. So in my rounds, you just peep into the staff room at time. You just chat with them, talk to your teachers. They are sitting with a cup of tea, and okay, they'll offer you something. You get the feel of the staff room, what is happening, what is the thing, feel of the corridor, language, feel of what you're talking, and reading very important. Reading current affairs, get your news, because last week when I was discussing with my grade 10, and they had the opinion what they're talking about, what's happening with Palestine and what's happening with this, and they want to talk. And so, okay, we have an open discussion, but you need to be well read on situations and be prepared to chat with children on current topics and current things and scenarios, what are happening outside. And that gives the culture of your school. And be close. I think school is what makes your students more. And that is the pulse you need to have in your hand. Your students, they need to be in your hand. They need to respect you, and that then it can be carried forward.
Absolutely, ma'am. Students are the pulse of the school. Couldn't have put it in any better way. And just building off of that question, over to you now, Aditya sir, to talk a little bit more about what can we do as a school leader to have the right attitude and continuously build our skills and mindsets towards the betterment of the school.
Thank you, Anu, for putting it up. I think so a lot has been addressed. But what I firmly believe, is let's first put on the table that everything that we are talking today of NEP, of critical thinking, creative thinking, communication. Let us ask ourselves honestly that are they just 21st century skills? Was communication not important when we were growing up in school? Was critical thinking not there? What is Panchatantra all about? It is all about critical thinking. It's all about creativity, the thing, putting up a blue stuff and all those go back. Nothing is new. I heard someone, I'm sorry, I missed out, who put up that how you unpack the curriculum, right? It is your intense desire to make a change. Otherwise, it's fine. A school is running, you have admission, children come to the class, teachers take a class, you are comfortable, you don't want to be uncomfortable. And if you do not want to be uncomfortable and you do not want to make the system uncomfortable, change will not happen.
Yeah.
So for transformation to happen, it is a leader who should be uncomfortable with the situation. If you are uncomfortable, you will try to do something. When you try to do something, you will find ways and means to understand what you need to do. And then again, when you talk to the students and they feel that they are not doing well in quizzing or debating, or they're not in sync with current affairs, you bring in some systems in place slowly so that there is a lot of discussions on current affairs. You have made a change, you know. So there is a deep want to change. Also, we have to understand that you cannot put curriculum as sacrosanct and say हम क्या करें, हमारे पास तो समय नहीं है, या हमको curriculum कुछ करने नहीं देता है. Please, that is not the truth. Your curriculum is a fantastic curriculum. How do you push that curriculum in the classrooms, you know? Right. So today when NEP talks about Panchakosh, you know, Panchakosh, people are now talking about it. It's becoming a fashion kind of, and I'm very happy it is happening. But you always had a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Did we shy away from bringing it onto the table, right? Were we looking into the Maslow's hierarchy of needs in terms of the student safety, security, and how comfortable they are? And at the end of it, are they happy coming to school? So what I'm trying to say is, you know, you have to feel uncomfortable with the status quo. You know, you cannot at any point of say how much is too much. Every constant day, there has to be a nudge, there has to be a push, but the right nudge and a right push. Now, Subbulakshmi ma'am, when she says that she comes from a small town, for her, a holistic development connotation will be very different to, let's say, Sayyid sir, who comes from Hyderabad, right? So we have to understand exactly which direction the nudge and the push has to be. Buy-in teachers, it cannot be a top-down model of change in school. Never happens, you know. You tell a teacher to do it because I have told him, he may possibly do it, but the ethos will be missed out. Teachers have to be bought into your idea, and then magic will happen, you know. So the buck stops at the vision of the principal, and a school grows as much as the principal wants it to travel, the speed he decides. Be uncomfortable, be very uncomfortable.
That's a beautiful insight, sir. Be uncomfortable with the status quo, shake things up, challenge what is happening. And only if you challenge will you be able to sail past all the current things that are happening in the world which you are not liking. Everything in the school that needs to evolve, that needs to shift, will only happen if you challenge, address it head on, and grow. Subbu ma'am wants to share over here. Go ahead, ma'am.
I'm so impressed with what Mr. Aditya said. Like, you know, yes, that exactly right. In the today's morning meeting, that's what we were talking about. You know, challenge yourself, come out of the comfort zone. So I would add one more statement to that. You know, find discomfort in comfort. Find comfort in discomfort. You know, you create a discomfort so that, you know, it's a challenge, and then you try to find a comfort in that. So how you know, adapt the challenge and grow with that challenge. And as leaders, as he said, if we don't do it, the whole school will be in the comfort zone. You know, okay, we are doing our best. Everybody says we are doing our best, but is our best is enough? You're thinking it's best for you because you know only that much. So there is so much more happening in the world. So are we meeting the best of the requirement? So the general dialogue I hear sometimes, ma'am, we are doing our best. No, your best, you have to question what's your best. So that's what I just wanted to add to that. Thank you.
Yeah. It's very important to constantly question and evolve our vision of excellence. Like ma'am shared earlier as well, we have to come back to it time and again and question if this current vision is our best. What next? What next? What do we do better? And we need to come back to it every few months, every year. If it is something that we are stuck to in the past, growth will just not happen. Great. And with that, let's
also quickly.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Quickly, walk the talk. You know,
yeah.
I think so. Nutan ma'am said, read books. You read books.
Yeah.
Right. Don't come as shallow. Come on time to the teachers. If teachers have to come on time, you be there 10 minutes earlier. Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
It starts from you. right? Don't sit on a high pedestal and pass farman. First, live that farman. Then only you gain respect. Then only it seeps into the system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Manu, I completely agree on that. And it's really difficult to be quiet at this point, being a teacher, also myself, teaching. I can very well relate to that. And I completely believe that when he says that vision has to be a shared vision, the teachers should feel that, yes, this is the vision of the school. This is also my vision. Like, it should not, there shouldn't be a difference. It shouldn't be like, we contributing to school's vision. It should be like, this is my vision. As a teacher, I want to see this difference. So when it doesn't remain a school's vision and becomes the vision of the teachers, students, and the parents, all the stakeholders together, the difference happens. You can see the magic happen, is what I feel. Thanks a lot.
Thank you everyone for adding
And
in.
one more point, if I'm
Point.
allowed. Am I? Is it
Sorry?
okay? One more point. Just
Yeah, go ahead.
So as he was talking, like, the school context is something very important, because nowadays the race is like, okay, the school is doing that, let us also do it. No, you have to think about what is my vision and what is my context.
Yeah.
The school context, is it really relevant for my school to run after somebody else? So it's we are working with human people, like we are working with the people, not a production. So that's what one thing, as leaders, we have to think about the context of the school. Yes, progress is required. At the same time, what is the context of your school, and work according to the context of the school. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, ma'am. Now, shifting gears a little bit to talk about one of the topics that does require a lot of challenging of the status quo, as sir said. So Syed sir, would love for you to shed light on how can a school really truly be an inclusive school? How can we promote equity, equality in the education system in a school? How do we shake things up over there when it comes to inclusion?
I will start with a very important point that I missed in my introduction, and that should have been the first point in my introduction, is that I got this post as the MYP IB, Personal Project Coordinator, because of FLSP. So my management has, kept that condition that if you complete FLSP, Curricular Leadership Program, then the candidates would be eligible for the coordinator post. So big shout out and thank you for Firki. And I request all the participants here to be in touch with Firki, get associated with Firki. It's a very wonderful opportunity and very wonderful organization. So sorry for not mentioning that before, but I am so proud of being associated with Firki. Saying that, my question is related with transformation of teaching. What are the key principles that should guide school transformation to ensure inclusion, equity, and quality in education? In the question, we have this word as transformation, right? We don't have that word as change. So the different, both are synonyms, change and transformation. But change is not measurable in the sense that a change could be a very small change or a change could be a very big change, right? But when you say the word transformation, the dictionary definition says it has to be a marked change. So you should be able to see the difference. So we need marked change in all these things, all this the field of education itself. As a quick reminder to my younger brothers and sisters who have joined here, that our current education system, especially in the last 100 years, is based on demand and supply for industrial revolution. We were producing candidates who should, be assimilated into the industrial revolution, right? So that is why you see our system is very methodical and mechanical and such things. So it is artificial to the human nature, literally. And many of the candidates feel left out on So that was the need for inclusion, right? There's a demand for inclusion. But as a HOD of counseling and special educational needs department, I would say that the word inclusion is also misunderstood. People think inclusion is integration or segregation, but inclusion is very difficult to implement actually. For that, the problem with implementation is people's mind. The mindset has to be changed. That is the major hurdle. Not with the resources, and not there are good people who are ready to work, but general perception for inclusion is very different. We have a very wonderful department, Endeavor department, one of the best schools in Hyderabad, and in our Puranhaveli branch, run by a very wonderful person, Ms. Asma Devi, author, writer, speaker, very wonderful and very good leader. But it's that department itself, the one that I also head, is not fully inclusive. So inclusion is that difficult to implement. That is a kind of a segregation model wherein we have specialists and therapists coming and giving therapies to the children and all. That is not possible inside in a normal class. To be a truly inclusive class, my teachers would have to be therapists. So, for example, we have children with hearing impairment. So my teacher, the classroom teacher, should be able to speak a sign language. So if that happens, that would be true inclusion. So anyway, we have integration in my present branch. Also, I have an autistic kid and student with impaired vision right now. But that is an integration model. True inclusivity is very difficult. But again, we are on that path. We just have to change the mindset. Even the parents, we have to change the mindset of the parents also. They don't like their children to be. They say, "Okay, हमारा बच्चा इनके साथ क्यों हमारा बच्चे वैसा हो जाएगा," and also that the whole thing, the whole system has to change. That is why the word transformation is needed, not the word change, right? Mark the change we have to see, mark difference we have to see. And as per UNICEF, they say that every child has the right to have equal and good education, all the opportunities that a normal child has. So we are a long way away from that, but we are on the at least we are thinking about it. That's more important. And inclusion and these segregation integration models are happening in big cities and good schools. But again, people from rural areas and very large population, demographic population of India, especially in India, is missing out on that. So this has to spread. The special education training and everything has to spread. But again, coming back to the principles of inclusivity and equity and quality education, I would say that the curriculum itself should be designed in such a way. It should be very inclusive curriculum. There should be, accommodations for children like these children with special needs and all. So we should have provision for that accommodation. So our whole curriculum should be like that. And we should provide equitable resources, not equal resources. Equal is, handing, one plate of rice to everyone, whether they are hungry or not. And someone is more hungry, we should give them more, right? So that is the true definition of equitability. So we should not be equal. We should concentrate on providing equitable resources, right? Looking at the student and looking at his specific needs, provide specific resources. And that is one of the principles that we should keep in mind. And again, professional development to change the mindset of the teachers and the parents and students themselves. We should do continuous development and programs like these from Firki and other good organizations provide a very good avenue. So continuous development program should be there. Professional development program should be there. That I see. And community should be engaged. Frequent gathering of parents. For example, we are currently running a program called Chai Pe Charcha or Tea and Mummies or something like that. Coffee evenings So we invite the parents of the community and we have a chat with them, and an open discussion, not specific to the curriculum or students, but we just want to engage them. So such things should be run, and our school should have universal design, right? Universal design is where person with disability or a person without a disability should be able to access all the corners, all the areas of the building. So we are working on that. We are not there still now in some of our branches, but again, we are working on the universal design, and in coming years, we'll have buildings with complete universal design and flexible instructions. So the instructor, the teacher should provide flexible instructions and provide accommodations and options for the students with specific needs to perform in specific ways, right? These are some of the guiding principles and things. And as I said, it's a very hot and difficult topic. But again, with open minds and compassionate heart, we can overcome this difficulty. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing all of those wonderful insights. Learned a lot. I think some of these things were very new for me as well. I didn't know about the universal design. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'll go and research it after the call is over. Pooja ma'am, go for it.
Thanks. I think Sayed covered it very beautifully, and I think I grew from the role of a special educator. So hence I find a lot of resonance and cognizance in whatever he said. I just had a little tiny bit to add, like what Aditya said about, management by walking or management by action, to say that, where it comes to changing mindsets and influencing mindsets, employ a person with that. Employ a person with a special need, a disability. There is a kind of implicit, silent mindset shifting. And today, inclusivity is so much more than, when we look at it, diversity is so much more than the special needs. I think there is special needs to consider. There is economic diversity to consider. There is gender diversity to consider, everything. So are we being, as a school, role models? Because it sends out a silent message to students, to parents, to the society at large, to say, this is what we stand for. Are your staff members, do you have a staff member who has a special need or who has a differently able? Do you have a teacher who might not conform to the traditional norms of gender, who's a non-conforming gender? When you send out, you also open up avenues for discussion, because somebody will definitely come and ask you, I'm not comfortable or I'm comfortable. See that as an opportunity to create a change or to have a discussion. That's all, just my 2 bits. Thank you.
Very important, ma'am, that where are we finding these opportunities to address some of these issues bang on? We should encourage that open discussion and actually get people to share more. And in our response, we should embody all the features of an effective leader and share what will help everyone move towards a place where transformative learning is happening. Great.
Anu, can I just share a bit?
Yeah.
See, it's very important to keep reminding teachers also. We do professional development and all, but I think in the beginning of the year to train teachers, it's important, as Pooja said, invest in a special educator.
Yeah.
If a school can invest, it's very important. We have 3 special educators for pre-primary, primary, secondary, and counselors. Please invest on a counselor. If not, encourage your teachers to take up a counseling course at least once a year. I think every teacher must be a counselor to understand your students, to understand. And yes, we have large sizes of children, but then if you are a person, as an attitude, you have that inclination of understanding your children, whether they are 40 or 50 or this, you will directly understand that this child needs a special attention, this child is different, this child requires. And more important also, you have a lot of laws abiding. You have the POSCO law, you have the other laws. Teachers must understand the language that you use with the children. Many a time you will just call the child stupid without understanding what the child is going through, and what are we, labeling, normal gender bias. I have a daughter, and one day she told me that, my teacher said that, oh, these books are so heavy, so you don't carry, tell the boy to carry it. So she felt, why like that? I mean, I was okay to carry it, it's a very subtle thing. But she felt um, we label
Yeah.
children and we label things. And how are we going to change that mindset? And it's important that in the classroom we get that inclusive thing up. That how are we going to? So maybe teachers have to get educated. It's not just going to be a top level. And in your lesson plan, in your thing, it should come out where this inclusiveness spirit is. It's not easy. It's not easy. After 70 years of independence, still we have problems about rape and everything happening around. And still, so just by having a co-education, we are not going to just have gender biases and things. Because yes, needs of girls are different needs of boys. And the other day we were doing menstrual cycle about girls. And then the girls, they told me, why are not boys involved? And I said, oh, that's a fantastic idea. Let the boys also hear about it. Why not? It's only then will they respect the femininity and they respect the other gender, what is happening. We are talking in shut doors. Okay, girls are going through, so we're going to talk to girls about it, and to boys, we are going to talk about this. But I think the mindset is to bring an open forum about a lot of things, physical disability, learning disability that are there. And we need to just bring that change somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, ma'am. And I think someone rightly said that we need to involve the parents, involve the community. It's not something that can only happen in school. And that leads me to my next question around discussing the importance of engaging parents, teachers, community members in this process. How do we get all of them on board in the school transformation process? So if any of you have any stories as well to share here, where working with some stakeholders led to some kind of transformation while you were working on a specific project, or anything that you did in the community that you can talk about over here, and it's open to everybody to answer.
Okay. Should I start with?
Yeah, go for it, Subbu.
Okay. So as we were all talking continuously about that, everything is a shared learning, shared leadership, collaborative process and everything. So in that process, the learning community is involved everywhere. When we say collaborative, everybody, the school learning communities, the parents, the students, the teachers, the staff, and the senior management, and maybe sub staff also. So everybody who are involved directly or indirectly in the child's learning process comes into the learning community. So in that, especially when we think about transformation, yes, it's someone said it's not just a change, it's moving and it's transforming with growth. So in that process, definitely we have to take the opinions, concerns and ideas and thoughts of the entire learning community. So involving parents and staff and students is really, really very important. So I would say, in our small community, if I have to share any story about it, basically, we started an IB school, I think, about 2016. Of course, I've joined in 2018 here. So when I came, it's like I was so happy to see these parents who have who were so possessive about their language. They cannot speak much of other languages than Tamil. There are parents, of course, who can, but then majority. But they all have a big vision. The vision of the school is transformed to the parents too, and they were willing to be with the school. So that is one of the biggest positive, what do you say, positive energy that we have from the parents. So when we started that school itself, there was a a study conducted over here, and the senior management and then teachers together did a survey personally and even on paper to understand how much of acceptability will be there, how much they are willing to join on us, how much they're going to be on board with us. So, and in that process, making them understand what it is, so that if they take a call, if they accept the vision, then it will be very nice for us. So, if I have to share about incidents, yes, after the pandemic, of course, during pandemic also, we were involving them so much. Of course, on a regular basis, parents are involved as guest speakers, or as some teacher is absent for a week or something. Sometimes we would call a parent and, are you willing to volunteer for some days, either in terms of correction if the teacher is not well, or in any things. So these are minute things that we do. But then one big transformation that we did after pandemic is introducing iPads for every child, one-to-one. In this small place, it's a big thing for us. So in that process, what we did is, initially we conducted a lot of survey. Of course, there is a lot of oppose, as it is pandemic, lot of screen time, and this is not good and all that. There was an opposition, but at the same time, we included even the technical people from the parent. Like, we need to identify the expertise of the parents. Every school will have parents who are expertised in medical field or technical field or entrepreneurship, so many areas. So according to the decision that the school wants to take, pull those people and have discussions. So we did have like that with the medical field and the technical field. So in general, when we spoke to the parents, a few of them, many of them opposed. Then when we involved these parents specially, they were like, yes, we have to move with the world. We cannot just be behind. At the same time, these are the criteria to be followed. How much of screen time is possible? How better we can have screen guards and all. And the technical team also suggested what are the useful apps, how do we can block. And then with the support of these parents, we have again went back to the other parents, involving them again to take their opinions and make these, we use these parents as the tool to talk to the others. And then they practically explained what is right and wrong and all that. So then there was a change in the thought process of the parents, and they were all like, okay, though it is expensive, we will go for it. We would want to go for it. So that's how many of them came forward. And we were very happy because it is not our own single decision. And at the same time, we involved teachers also, we spoke to them, we involved students also, we spoke to them. So everybody were involved in this decision making, which led to a transformation of, so now we are the only school probably using one-to-one iPads in the classroom. And it's not just to showcase that we are using one-to-one iPad. It is just to, take the children to the next level of. So that's what is the transformation we were looking at. And so it's successfully going. But then at the same time, some of them suggested don't start with grade 1 and early years and all. So we respected their decision also. And then we started with grade 3 onwards till grade 10. And slowly we'll be coming back to the early years levels to have one-to-one iPad. So then, and another one we have to think about is during pandemic and all, we were continuously meeting the medical expertise team, how better we can, the well-being of the child, medically, what is acceptable, not acceptable when we have to, take the online classes, or even coming back from the pandemic. So post-pandemic, what are the cares to be taken? So what are the decisions as school we can take and then forward to the entire team? So the team were with us. We are a very small team, but then each one is productive because we involve them completely in our vision. They're all, so they don't feel, we are the parents. Most of them feel that we are also teachers. And sometimes in our curriculum also we involve them. Because, IB has a separate central ideas and all that. So we involve them in our curriculum and come and tell us, this is what we are thinking about. What are your opinions? Add more to that. Or do you feel these areas of inquiry are worth dealing with this age group or not. So the parents feel very happy about it, and they feel respected moreover, and they are they are with us on board because we give them that respect, and we get back the same thing again. So involving parents or the staff in decision making for any transformation is highly important, and it should be done in a very nice way, of course. And we do have coffee meetings once in 2 months and all that. So those are the informal meetings. We have them with the senior director, and myself will be sitting. So it's a very informal meeting. That's the time they share about any concern or the wonderful things that are going on, and then we share our future decisions with them at that point of time, and they will again come back to us. So it's a wonderful process that's going on, and I'm very happy, and I feel definitely that's important. Involving parents and staff is very much important in decision making, which leads to transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, ma'am. Pooja, ma'am, please add on.
Thank you. And thanks, you, Subbu, because as you spoke, ideas came to my mind and I was just wondering about it. So I think when you speak about, engaging with the community, the stakeholders, and I think whether it's staff, whether it's parents, I think trust and transparency go very important, because you cannot call upon engagement as a one-off thing. I need you to be engaged now, and now I need you to step out of the door with me. So I think as a principle, trust and transparency needs to be established. So for any kind of engagement to come on, you have to have open doors of communication, that any stakeholder can come in and ask, probably question, discuss possible solutions and debates. So I think if you've established that, then getting engagement is not difficult, because then you have like-minded people who will work along and will walk along with you. I have 2-3 examples to substantiate this. I remember when some slightly big ones, when in 2010 the Right to Education Act had come about in Delhi. And it was very new for all the schools at that time. It was very new, where 25% of your class had to come in from, the 5 sectors written in the Right to Education Act, 5-6 categories, and they had to come in. And for every school in Delhi, I don't know how much that the other states, not everywhere to my knowledge this is being practiced, but in Delhi it's pretty strict and you can do that. For us, it was a challenge at that time, because we were not exposed to a similar working. We needed to do that, but yet we knew that we have to make it a success. We have to work with our students, but we didn't know the science of going about it. So about 13, 14 years back, this happened. And then what happened was, we had lots of discussion meetings, and because we banked upon the trust and transparency that we shared with the parent community, as a result, we started working. We did discuss the difficulties that we had. We had 4 parents come across and say, we will lead a team for you. We will lead a team where we will look at additional support. We will look at additional work that will go on, came on, gave their time, and then worked with parent and teacher volunteers. And if that required at that time an after school session for the children, they started working on that. That opened up ESL for the school at that time, a curriculum and conversational skills for that time. So all of that came out. We don't no longer have it because we've cracked our way through it. But at that time, that helped with it. We had our students with who differently able students graduate. And that sometimes then we realize that, okay, they've had a very sheltered life in school after 16, 17. What after 17? What do you do after 17 with them? We had from our PTA, there was a parent support group that emerged. That started working with us on alternate career placements in college, on alternate career paths. So when that comes in, and a very small example, these days family systems are so diverse, and a school is embracing and inclusive of everything. We realize that there is a set of parents who adopt children. They needed to have some place to go and talk to. We have a lot of mentoring for parents, guidance, counseling, but they needed that, and they asked school for support. And again, with the same trust and support, while we were working for them, we said, okay, they started an alternate parenting group where they used to meet with the counselor who used to come in and discuss it. Why I share this is, out of that came a change into our system. They all came back and said, and one thing that was discussed while talking with them was, when our children come back home, we've adopted, and many of them are single parents. On the ID card, there is one name that's missing. Either it's the mother name or the father name. So if the mother's adopted, the father name is not there, and the father has adopted the child, the mother name is not there. What do you do with that? And it's a very obvious system of exclusion when children look at each other's ID cards. And we wanted to be embracive as such. That group came up with the suggestion, put it mother/guardian, father/guardian. So as simple as that. So the guardian could be a grandparent. So that came up, the ID card came up so that. Now it's come up to parent/guardian, parent one/guardian, parent two/guardian. Because now family systems are much more diverse. There could be two mothers, there could be two fathers. So I'm saying when you engage with the community, when you engage with like-minded, when your parents, when you have the buy-in of the community on the same vision, what everybody here is espousing, then transformation truly happens. And I'm actually grateful for that engagement, because then the work and the thinking is just not mine. Everybody has just contributed on that bandwagon. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing, Pooja ma'am. Really beautiful. Go for it, Aditya sir.
Yeah, to what we have spoken about the parents, I'm not going to touch on that, but also remember that transformation for a school leader actually starts with transforming teachers. And I think so that's where we give very less thought generally. Syed spoke about, children, not equality, but equity. Who requires what? Come to think of it, are our teachers training done that way? Or the teachers training most of the time is based on convenience? Like Subbu ma'am said, that we heard something good, someone is good, we bring him into the fold, not understanding the requirements of a teacher, A.
Yeah.
B, the fact is, across board, I'm sure everyone will agree that getting the right kind of teacher is an utopian dream right now. You will not get the right kind of teacher. We will not have God send them to us. We should have the wherewithals to chisel them out, It is not going into the subway and ordering a sub depending upon what are the choices you require. We need to have the patience, constant patience of chiseling out this of the teachers. Otherwise, your vision will remain a vision, because ultimately your vision is getting transformed into the classrooms. So I am happy that NEP has highlighted teachers training in such a huge way, because I think so that is somewhere where our education system lacks. And we as school leaders have to be very patient, give enough time for teachers training, molding them into what we require going into the classrooms. And that is the reason why hiring of teachers, the parameters should be tweaked a little, You just don't come with subject expertise. That is not the only criteria. You don't look into the degrees. It is how well can you adapt, how well can you adopt, how much of you are a learner. You do not come with a set mindset of I know everything. You are willing to change. And we are not talking enough on that scale. And as I said, a school leader has to have a lot of patience. You do not write off teachers in a month, Research says that you need to work with a teacher over 2 years to ultimately groom that teacher into what you want to be fitting into your vision. We kind of nowadays, I see a lot happening. I'm from a group which has 23 schools, and a lot of times I see principals losing patience after 3 months, coming up with ये teacher नहीं हो सकता है, ये teacher नहीं हो सकता, वो teacher हटाने से पहले अपने HR department को हटाओ. Why did they get someone wrong into the system? Don't put the blame on the teacher. The poor soul is struggling. Handhold him, give him time, observe his classes, not to find mistakes, but to correct it. Most of the time when a principal enters a class, the whole system is built up in such a way that right from the students to the teacher, they get the creeps because ma'am observe karne aa rahi hai, because we have made our feedbacks into demons. Feedbacks need not be just for finding mistakes. Feedbacks, the whole ecosystem should move around. Feedback is for improvement. Right. So we have to look into our systems in such a way that there is a lot of archaic thought process, archaic perceptions. You just cannot go on and on. You have to look inwards and also remodel, change a lot of perceptions inbuilt into the system, A principal's office, the principal is not ready to listen, main kya karu? Wrong. Create a ecosystem where people are comfortable in coming and speaking out. Listen, right? Our listening systems are very poor. Before someone has said, we are ready to give an answer back. Arey Baba,
Yeah.
listen. So I'm talking about basic elementary things, listening systems, uh, expression systems in the school, and most importantly, you give me an infrastructure, it is of no use. You give me 15 motivated teachers who have the wherewithals to change, evolve, schools will transform.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, Aditya. Really powerful. Sayed sir, go for it. You want to add something?
Well said, Aditya sir. Just wanted to appreciate you for sounding those were very nice phrases and sentences, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, as a counselor, I can understand that people, when we start talking to people, they start thinking of replying. You can see on their faces that they're not listening to, grasp or, learn. They're listening and formulating answers at the same time. You can easily see on their faces. And by the time you add your sentence, that comes the reply. So that is the problem with the world right now. Nobody wants to listen, and thus we psychologists thrive. That is our, the secret weapon. I can listen. So patiently, I can listen to people for hours. So if you can do that, then you can surely win. But just recently wanted to add something that if anyone of you knows Surasa, they're a training company, teaching training company, big company. They did this teaching Olympiad, ITO International Teaching Olympiad, and I participated and uh, luckily scored well. So they gave me a master class, and they're going to give many such master classes, and it's on their portal right now. If you want to go and visit their portal, you'll be. I think you have to register, and then you'll be able to see that master class, and I think it's free. But two things that I got from that master class, and the title of that master class, which was yesterday, was transitioning from traditional to transformative teaching. So it was a very good chance for me to get something from that for today's panel discussion. So two things that I want to share are uh, two definitions. So one definition is from Roseberg and Leverett, 2011, and it's about transformational teaching. What is transformational teaching? They say transformational pedagogy is an act of teaching designed to change the learner academically, socially, and spiritually. So according to Roseberg and Leverett, this is the definition of transformational learning. And another definition by Slavich, 2005, he says that transformational teaching goes beyond passive teaching. It also goes beyond active learning. Transformational teaching is about employing strategies that promote positive change in students' life. So it's all about changing and bringing positive changes into students' life and their model. In their model, learner is at the center and the teacher is around that, and the teacher is the transformational teacher. He's a scholar, he's a realtor, and he's a practitioner. And this model affects the academic goals, social goals, and spiritual goals for that student. So this is the model proposed by Roseberg and Leverett. So just wanted to uh,
I think,
point the meeting
Syed,
close.
I think in today's context, it applies to the teacher and the learner, changing everything, both.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for adding those insights. I think just one last point I would love Kalyani ma'am to share a little bit more about how can we make our teacher training and professional development programs better? And with that, we will close the discussion and open it up for Q&A.
Thanks, Anu, for this wonderful question. So as I thought I would have nothing to speak because much of it is already out. So coming to the teacher part, again, I think teacher, if you see primary students and pre-primary students, the teachers are celebrities for them. You know, in my school, I have seen children going and hugging their teachers, coming with flowers when it's a teacher's day. So, a teacher is no less than a celebrity. If you see a pre-primary and primary, section especially, teachers are influencers. Pooja, Miss, as you rightly used the word influencer. Yes, the teacher is the influencer. And Subbalakshmi, Miss, as you said, that a vision remains a lamination unless and until it is implemented. Again, the implementer is the teacher. So again, it is extremely important to train the teacher. You cannot expect results without bridging the gap. The teacher who comes to your institution has been a part of the old educational system, right? And we know that there has been a lot of transformation in the educational system, and the bridging the gap is very, very important. And that is where the role of training comes in. So if you want transformation in the teachers, in the way the teaching and learning is done, then yes, you need to train the teachers. Then secondly, we also spoke about the words, the usage of the terminologies like holistic development, creative. It's very important. I completely agree that these were in the system, built in the system from long. But when we pronounce it and when we make it seen everywhere, that is when people start making, making sure of it that they are using it. Now, for example, lesson plans have those cognitive development, this collaboration happening. So, when a teacher looks at what kind of a collaboration activity or collaborative activity am I using in this lesson? So what kind of value am I trying to imbue in this, imbibe in this lesson plan? So these words, even though these are in the system, these are there, have been there, it is just that these have to be more pronounced and seen so that these are put into implementation. Now the question comes about bridging the gap. So when a teacher is recruited, but obvious she may not be extremely as specified, tailor made. It has to be tailored. And how can that be done? That can be done through, first of all, I feel need analysis is extremely important. First, look at the teacher, look at the background, look at her experience, her educational qualification, and see what is her need. For example, a person may be proficient, or a teacher may be proficient with the subjects, but probably she may not be that good at conveying things or putting it in a way that students understand it, or probably may lack some leadership qualities. So yes, it is extremely important to give her that kind of training which she requires. So there are certain needs which a teacher identifies. Yeah, I need, I'm not good at class management. Probably I need some training that would help me in class management. So there are certain things as a teacher, an individual would know. Respect it. Okay. So if a teacher comes to you and says that she needs, training in class management, yes. So as a school, what means as a part of the school, what we do is we first formulate we first pass on this something called as the need analysis form. So the teacher himself or herself first fill in those, that where they lack, what kind of trainings do they need. Then secondly, as Aditya sir said, management by walking around. So yes, by going into the classes, by observing the classes, again, you get a lot of input. Peer observation again helps a lot, because, as peers, you're able to find out, oh, you're looking at the teacher, acha, this is a very nice way, this can be implemented or whatever. So as peer observation could also be a very nice way of going about it. And there is this very beautiful thing that we have adopted in our school, which is called as the exit cards. So before exiting, before the session gets over, the teacher generally gives away these are small cards with a question or something like that, and the students then likewise answer. So that gives a very good insight to the teacher about the understanding patterns of the student. Okay, so this is one way of gauging where the training or what training has to be given. Once that is done, providing training becomes pretty easy. And honestly, Anu, as a part of Firki team, I must congratulate you for the kind of trainings that you bring on board. So fantastic trainings, and there is so much that you learn. Like, I have to agree to that, that from the leadership program, by meeting all of the colleagues whom you see as panelists, I have learned a lot. So yes, it does make a lot of difference, and this training really works, and training from the right source is very important for the teacher to, so as to bridge the gap. And so if you have a vision of, wherein creative thinking, wherein you want your students to be creative thinkers, problem solvers, so this can be achieved by making sure that the teacher brings it to the class through her lesson plans. And for that, it is important that the teacher is given that kind of training and she attends that kind of workshop wherein she, goes through all those things so that the impact could be seen. So once the training is given, it doesn't end there. It is very important to understand what is the impact of the training. And so that assessment has to happen. So after the training is done, it is important to see that how much has the teacher actually applied. Now, for example, if a teacher has gone through a collaborative activity kind of a training, so what is the, is she using it in the class? Often is she using it in the class? So all those things, is that there in the lesson plan? So how is it getting implemented? So that, I think, and even a very good feedback. So I completely agree with a panelist who said that, listening is a skill, but I also believe that putting it in the right way is also a skill. So if whatever, is required, or whatever you want that change to happen, the feedback has to look positive. It should look positive, wherein that person is ready to listen. Many of the times it's a retaliation or retort from the other end, because probably it has not been put in a good way. So I personally feel that if listening is important, putting it in the right manner is equally important. So that's from me. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kalyani ma'am. There have been a lot of questions also that have been shared for just understanding a little bit more about the exit card and the need analysis form. If at all you can share these resources, it will be really good, and we can share them on forward if at all they're available for viewership by everybody else.
So yes, I will be more than happy to share with you the exit card, the look of it. But when it comes to these forms, these are school specific. So I can share the questions with you, but not the form. So that I can do. Yeah. I will be able to share it with you. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can just type some of these things down on the chat, or show us somehow, sending a screenshot, I'll just forward it to everybody.
Yeah, I'll surely do that.
Yeah.
I had also collated some time back just a document from the net about exit cards, because we also I'll share that document. It's from the net, but it's just got accumulation of things, and they're very helpful. Like Kalyani said, they're very helpful. We use them a lot, and sometimes you think you've done such a wonderful job, and you realize 15 in your class are saying, I have it understood. Then you go back and say, oh, I need to rework that. Yes.
And it's also a kind of, a feedback. A feedback to the teacher.
Yeah, it's formative feedback.
Doesn't hurt the ego of the teacher, because it comes directly from the students. So it's like directly, you get a direct feedback that way. So yeah.
Great, amazing. We have a lot of other questions also in the chat box. So this is one which you will share a resource for, and I will share it with everybody.
Share that. Yes.
Yeah, I'll share it with everybody later.
Yes.
The other question, Ankit has asked some more questions. And for Syed sir, there was a question earlier about in a class of 45, I have 5 children who are having a learning disability. It becomes challenging for the teacher to cater to these while also catering to the rest. So how do we do that? That in our class, if some people are having a learning disability, how do we cater to everyone at the same time? That is the question, sir.
So yeah, this is a very difficult thing. And having 45 normal children in a class itself is a challenge. The strength should not be that much, if possible at all. We should reduce the strength to 20, 25 students maximum. But again, in some cases, it's not possible. So having a class of 45 children itself is my
Yeah.
school bell is ringing. So yeah, it's very difficult. To add to that, you have 5 students of learning disability. Itself is a very big challenge, and you need to have a assistant co-teacher or assistant teacher, wherein that teacher can take away this group inside the class itself in a different table arrangement, and I'm just guessing that they have this kind of a dyslexia, either or acquired or by birth. So kind of reading disability or dyscalculia, they have this so many dyspraxia and these things. So most assuming that children have reading difficulties or difficulties with math, in that remediation can happen inside the class in a different table, in a different setting inside the class. But for that, you need to have a assistant teacher who will, mellow down the same content and bring it down to their level, and can do remediation inside the class itself. This is the most appropriate thing that I can think of. But as the class size itself is so big, so that itself is a very big challenge. You have to work on that first.
Got it. Thanks for sharing that, sir. If anybody else has any other question in the audience, this is the moment to just come off mute, raise your hand, and you can share it. Lata ma'am, do you want to put voice to your question?
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for a very insightful session. I've been constantly jotting down each and every word said as a school leader. It has been phenomenal learning for me. So since we were on this SEN topic, so I, as a head of the primary section, I have seen to it that all my teachers have undergone the SEN course, which is conducted by SIS College. I don't know if you're aware of that. But in spite of that, I don't see any implementations in my classroom. So as a leader, I may, enable my teachers, give them courses, subsidize, do everything. I've got the courses in our school so that my teachers don't even need to travel to, SIN to SIS College. But despite that, I don't see the results in the classroom. So what is lacking is my question. Yes, we have an in-house counselor, as you all said. I don't have a special educator because we are also a low-income school catering to the lower socioeconomic needs. But these are the ones who need a counselor and a special educator the most. But, because of lack of funds, we need to be stringent in whatever we do. So we do have a counselor, but I thought, training each and every teacher, it's like, you're enabling every teacher to be a special educator. But my query to you all is, in spite of pushing them through a rigorous 1-year course, I'm not seeing the results in the classroom. So where is the missing part of the puzzle? If anybody can answer. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, I would like to answer this because it's a fantastic question. And believe me, there are so many schools which are facing the same thing, because we all are looking at training as the means and the end, but then the impact is not seen. So the first and foremost thing is, ma'am, you will have to take a feedback about the training. So it is not just that sometimes the training is not helping the teacher, So what kind of a training is it? What was the impact? So first of all, feedback from the teacher has to be taken, like what have they learned from the training? Like how good was the training, to rate the training so that they give you an honest feedback of actually what they have understood in the training and what they have learned in the training. Now, once that is done, there has to be a particular process wherein you could state that, okay, so you have understood this, you have learned this new technique, when are you going to implement? Give the teacher their own time. So they may say 2 months or 3 months, whatever it is, and then make sure that it actually happens. So there has to be a lot of going back and forth on this, because if we just allow them to have training and then if we are just expecting implementation to happen, it is not going to happen, because everything requires a lot of thinking. If I say a workshop on collaborative activities, then there has to be a lot of implementation, a change in thought process. I will have to devise the lesson plan all over again, making sure that, all those things are in it, whatever I have learned is in it. So that has to be taken up by the management and by the teacher. So it has to be, okay, so you have said yourself that you have learned all these things. okay, so when are you going to implement it? Or, and then probably there could be somebody who could actually go and visit the class and see the class, congratulate the teacher for whatever good that she has tried, and wherever the, bridging needs to be done, because she's also implementing it for the first time. So cannot be that perfect version. So wherever you think that, she's lacking or could be better, then probably you could help her out with that. And that will make a lot of difference, believe me, ma'am.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks,
just to
Kalyani
add
ma'am.
another point to
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Sorry, can I? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So, Dr. Lata, you did a good job of training everybody, because every teacher is the same teacher, every teacher is a specialist teacher. So that's good. But at the same time, as Kalyani was talking about, when you're going through their lesson plans, do you find engagements related to differentiated learning or catering the equity? Do you find engagements which they really are supposed to be doing either after training or before training or whenever? So that is where probably it gives you one path for you to either remind them or what it is. So the lesson plans are the ones, of course, not on paper only. First step is looking into the lesson plans. Did they include engagements that are relevant for differentiated learning? Okay, they're included in lesson plan. Then in your walkthroughs, you will find, yes, what is in the plan is not just on the paper, and it's in the process. Still, if it's not happening, that means there is some learning gap in the teacher. Some learning gap is there with the teacher, and that you have to address it in a different way, probably. That's what I feel is.
Thanks both Subbalakshmi and Kalyani ma'am. So there was a learning for me in this. They always say you lead from the front. So for this course, I had not enrolled myself. So after that, I introduced phonics in our school, because we all have first generation learners. They are in an English medium school, but they cannot understand, they cannot speak, they cannot write in English. So that's where I decided to introduce phonics. So my learning was from this session. If I have to train my teachers, I should be a part of that. In phonics, I saw to it that I was there in each and every part of their the cycle that they went through. So the second thing was, it was done pre-pandemic. So we'd finished the course and we were struck by pandemic. So the 2 years was lost. So probably the learning could not be immediately implemented. And as a second initiative, as a school leader that I have taken on, we have alternate Saturdays working, which was initially for children. They are coming. But I saw that more than my children, my teachers required training. This was my learning in the first 6 months of this academic year. So we decided in the for the second half, these children will not come on Saturdays, and we have dedicated that time for teacher learning program. And I've already, asked one teacher to present the SEN learnings, what they had done 2 or 3 years ago. So these were the steps that I've already put into place, thinking, already realizing there's something amiss in what we have done. And I was looking forward to further insight. Thank you so much for the insights that given by you all. And I've noted it down, and it will definitely be implemented.
Yeah, adding to that, if teachers share, you are telling teachers will share. So if each teacher shares what is he or she is implementing in that particular, whatever output of the training, then if they share, maybe others get a clarity on it.
We have already done that, ma'am. Each teacher, we have taken a feedback where each teacher gave me 3 takeaway points from that course, which they can implement. So this is all on paper, but when it comes to implementation, so now what I have said is, first thing they need a refresher's course. So one teacher is going to have a proper 2-hour session and will present all the learnings of their 1 year over here. And then we will have a more interactive, where again, we go back to the process of each teacher putting down, okay, these are the 3 things I think I can put it into my classroom. And that's where we were planning to go ahead. So this was my goal set for the second half of this year. So I thought, along with that, if I can add some more points, it would be wonderful.
You cracked it. I think you cracked it. But as a thumb rule, if I may say, if you find 90%, 80% or 90% are not doing it, then it's more than attitude. Then it's actually because you have a diverse lot, and attitude might not be good with some, but it can't be with everybody. If it's a challenge with everybody, then there is something inherently missing in the implementation cycle and that as a teacher, then probably you need to look at it, even if they refresh and they get back their learnings. So the pandemic was definitely a huge cause. It caused a lot of people to just blank out whatever they had done and they didn't have the feel to practice it. But so probably more discussions, what is it that you need? Take it small steps to see what can I implement in that course. I have found that sometimes it's very easy to say, oh, they don't want to do it. But when I go back and look at my data that everybody can't, then, then it's just more than attitude. It's something that I need to put in as a leader to make the teaching learning process better.
I have
Thank you,
a
ma'am.
small and humble suggestion for Dr. Lata
Sure.
Sagar. So whatever learning they have done, please supplement that with with SEL or SEE education, social emotional learning. Or are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. We
Yeah.
have already introduced the SEL curriculum in our
SEL.
school.
Then you
It
go
is-
for SEE also. That is
I don't know
social
what is
emotional
SE.
social emotional ethical learning. It is available if you just type SEE learning. It is available from Emory College or Emory University. So
Sir,
that
can you
will
put
help.
it on the chat group, please, for us? I can't get the name.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Yeah. So
So
supplement
after
your teachers with that.
SEN, the next that we have introduced in our school is SEL learning. We have introduced it this year. And
Great.
again, it is more like a textbook they have. So it's more of it is there, but implementation is less. So I realized it's not going the way it should go. So we had a chat with my counselor and she took the onus ki I will do the SEL book with the children. So, she will do it in the right method.
I don't mean a workbook. Make your teachers do this SEL course from the Friday Institute. It is a subsidiary of University of North Carolina. So from that, it is available online. Just type Friday Institute, and from that, this course is available. So it's it's not a workbook; it's a course. They have 5 modules. They have to do the course, do the assignments and submissions and everything. That at the end of it, then they will assimilate all this learning. If you just give them a workbook, that will not happen. For workbooks, you can use the CSCA books. They are very nice. Children Against Child Abuse. CSCA curriculum is very nice. You can go with that. But for SEL, you can use, and SEE, the social, emotional, and ethical learning. They provide modules also, implementable modules in the classroom itself. It's available for primary and high school. So I'll share the resources. These things will supplement your SEN teaching also. That was one humble suggestion from my side. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for the entire panelist and sorry to take so much of your time. I would ask somebody else to go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everybody. Beena ma'am had an interesting question around challenges. Beena ma'am, if you can just give voice to your question. Beena ma'am, are you able to unmute yourself? I will read out her question. So she's saying that she will be obliged if she gets to know about the biggest challenge for today's school leader during this journey of transformation. So she would love to know what are some challenges that you all have faced, which have been which have either pushed your learning forward or which you've still not cracked. So what has been difficult?
I'll start and I'll start at a very manual level because in the interest of time and everybody, I'll respond it on 2 levels, personal and professional. I think on a personal level, the biggest challenge is to staying centered because every day you come across with so many things that kind of take you off balance. You need to rejig and come back on it. So I think it's very important for a leader to stay centered and find that source in which the leader can stay centered. It's probably for every educator, but when you're working with different aspects, I find that when I do that, I come back with a much more equilibrium to come back to tackle situations and challenges or come up with or to brainstorm and work with solutions. So that's personal. Professionally, I think our biggest strength can also be a challenge in a way. For me, my biggest asset and my biggest strength in my school is my faculty. Like somebody said, teachers, what is a school without teachers? They are the ones who will implement any dream, any vision. I can think the stars, but you need your teachers. And that's the challenge, to keep your teachers to be on the same page, to keep them motivated, to keep them their best, And for that, I think we need to churn daily, come up daily, reflect, step back. I think that's it. And others can be countered. But if you have, though, your teachers with you, then you can take across anything. And I think that was a sentiment that was spoken about by each and every panelist, that your faculty, if you're there, and that's something that I have learned over the years. Never underestimate, or never think that, without them, a leader actually nothing, just a person. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
I shared the resources.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah.
You wanted to share.
Yeah. So I think the biggest challenge post-pandemic was, as Pooja rightly said, is of course teacher faculty, the attitude of teachers, that for the change, are we ready? And the biggest also challenges that we faced is the inclusion of social media when children came back, and they getting hooked onto the social media, and that for them became like God. Everything is like Google and things, and parents were paranoid that where are we going, and they don't know how to handle these stages of children, especially teenage problems and things. So discipline also gets a complete turnaround, and we realize that school cannot be handled in the same way as with textbook and with this, and the whole paradigm shift required for the education process. And yes, NEP came in during the time, and a lot of challenges with the NEP also. Do we implement, not implement? How do we doing it? And yes, it is here to stay. But now the whole process of technology is there. You need to marry the technology with the students. Students are much more aware about things and in the past than what we are now. How do we marry them, and how do we use that technology? How do we use their social media? They are on Instagram, they are on Facebook, they are everywhere, and which we are also not educated on a lot of platforms what children are aware of. And how does one take charge of all that and still with sanity run the school system? Because parents look at the school as कि school सब कुछ कर लेगा. मतलब मैंने बच्चा आपको दे दिया, school is the school responsibility of taking care of my child, and we are trying. It's a biggest challenge that we face today, and I think every school must be facing in this thing. There no child is without a mobile phone nowadays. They, anything can be clicked, anything goes on WhatsApp media, anything just published, and parents also have their WhatsApp group. But कुछ भी ये मेरे बच्चे को ये किया, then you have a whole lot of comments passing. अरे टीचर ने ऐसे बोला, टीचर ने वैसे बोला, and then you have a discussion useless on that. And of course, you invite parents to come and talk to us. But the whole thing about social media and now the education system is how you want to marry them. It's challenging, and we are working on this. And in that aspect, yes, the social emotional learning does take the side. So I think more than the curriculum aspect of teaching history, geography, maths, the social emotional learning has taken priority for schools. And how are we going to take care of all this thing? Because at the end, parent and the school expects that the child will come out with great flying colors and the child will be something great. But you have a parallel school, which is a social media running along with you. And you can't, we cannot stop that. That's not in our control. But how are we going to bring our students to that platform of learning? Take
Very
them
true.
ahead.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a hand raised. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, everyone. So, I actually work into training, like teacher training only. I'm pretty novice to this field, but I interact with a lot of school leaders, and the very common challenge that they often talk about is there is an attrition of teachers. So, I mean, I just wanted to understand how can they address it. There are very good schools, pedagogical wise, the very elite schools, elite schools as well as, the low income schools, but then the common challenge is there. So how can we address that?
I would like to take that up. May I? Okay. So when you're talking about this training part of it and the attrition part of it, I believe you mean to say that the training has been imparted to some teachers and then they leave the school. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, this is pretty much close to that, but yeah, anyways, also school teachers leave in between, and then the leaders ask, what shall we do now? Because it's a mid of the session, right? So
Correct. So what can be done is probably the teacher who has gone through this training part, which is supposed to be a very important training, for example, something related to say design thinking or something like that. So once the teacher comes back, she also shares the resources that she has received from the workshop, and she can also take a session in the school for all the other teachers. Suppose there is a teacher A who has attended this training and she has given a very good report about it, that she has learned a lot many things and stuff. So she can very well take a training, like there could be an in-house training session wherein the teacher could share whatever her learnings were with the other teachers. So that way everyone will be on the same platform, and then the attrition would not matter. And then secondly, this training has to be an ongoing process. So as and when the new teachers come in, the training has to happen for them as well. And it has to be a continuous process, because attrition is something that, that is bound to happen. Just a solution.
Yeah, but
Can I add something?
iteration, when a teacher goes, all her experience and everything that goes away also, and that is a very big setback. But there are many factors to that why a teacher leaves a school, but that the thing that is controllable is, especially when all school leaders are here, that most of the teachers leave because of the toxic culture. They don't get proper appreciation, and they are worked like mules. You have a coordinator on top of the, so her job is to shout. The more she shouts, the more salary she gets. So that's what I meant when I was talking about the leadership. You're not a goat herder, right? You are living with humans, and they have emotions and all. Especially ladies, they're coming, leaving their small children behind, preparing breakfast, sending husband to the job, and coming again working here. And at the end, people say, yeah, she's just a teacher, so she does not get a proper due. And at least she should get some respite in the school, some recognition in the school. Appreciate her for small things. If people in our school, if people come on time, we give them certificates. If they do anything good, we give them certificates. They make us big sound about it, and we are the cheerleaders for them. So at least that part we can control, wherein the toxic, that the teachers are leaving because of the toxic culture, that is controllable. Rest, the teachers can get married and they have pregnancies and all, that is not in our control. But things that are in our control, we should control. We should provide some comfort to the
Yes.
teachers. That's what I mean.
Very true, Syed. I would 100% agree with you that respect. I mean, each school should understand and realize, the leadership should realize why people are moving. Nowadays, people are not just moving, not just bothered about the salary only. So, because they get salary in any other school, there are inner reasons why they leave. Is it lack of respect? Is it the school culture that is really bothering them? So bias treatment. So these all will be different things which lead to the teachers. Of course, the temptation of somebody is giving 2,000 more, 10,000 more, that temptation will be there. But if there is enough respect for the teacher in the same organization and chances for elevation, growth, if there are chances for the growth for the teacher, they won't be get tempted for the 10,000, because nobody is running after money nowadays.
Very true. Very true.
People are running after the respect and the value that they want. So that's what is one way that we can retain teachers. Of course, this is common thing all of us are facing. We train the teachers so well, and we say 2 years you must continue with that. And after 2 years, the training goes off and the teacher goes off. But how can we make the 2 years into 20 years or 10 years is with the respect, because the papers, the bond of what you call the professional development bond and all these are on paper only. But the only thing which is not on paper is the respect and the value that and the growth that we give it to the teachers.
I completely agree with Syed and Subhadakshmi completely. The growth is also an important aspect because that comes in. But I'll just say something that I read, and I've always held it with me. And a very casually, I read it. It said, "People don't leave organizations; people leave bad bosses." You know, so yes, so what the culture that you set in, that you give that, and I always look back at myself and say, okay, is there a departure that's been because of the system that we could not have in school, or is it because of a relocation or some other reason? It's always that's a reflection is an important part of leadership. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Time has passed by so quickly. I did not even realize that 2 hours have passed and we've overshot the time. But I was having so much fun, and these were such wonderful insights. I'm taking back so many personal learnings, so much to think about, as I'm sure all our participants are also feeling the same way. So with that, actually, we come to the close of the panel interview. And thank you so much, dear leaders, for just sparing your valuable time and expertise and knowledge with all of us today. Rest of our participants, thank you for being present throughout for the 2 hours. Please go ahead and fill up the feedback form and access your certificates. And do share your thank yous and shout outs to our leaders over here. You can come off mute quickly if you want to and share your vote of thanks in case you would like to. And we will close with that.
I want to say thank you to the amazing panel and for the audience for staying
So much of learning.
But thank you to everyone. It was lovely to hear all of you. It was lovely to listen to all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anu and
Firki.
Tasneem. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting us in this, and we had a wonderful learning experience sharing with each other, and that's always